there. Let me tell you something. Whoever knows me knows that I'm not getting excited by crowds, not when they're small. And some people saw me with big crowds too. I think I'll start. Can I start?
Yeah, I just want to have an introduction. I have to talk about the sponsors for this week. Okay, so our 8th year is starting tonight of Tzeh Ulmad. If you remember 8 years ago, Rabbi Kaufman came and he said, this week is parsha Gilgulim. The Baal Shem Tov said that parsha Mishpatim is parsha Gilgulim. And he explained why, because about a din that goes wrong, you have to see the whole picture of what.
So you want to say my drasha?
No, not at all. I'm just saying to you, but Reb Avruhom was also part of the first year you spoke about in Parshas Noach later on. Noach with the kimaran, with the pelts, right? Sit down.
Don't think I say another tzemach. Did I say another tzemach?
Yes, you have. I have statistics on everything you said. You did. Later on, you sent Parshas Tetzaveh. So I just want to.
My classmate.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
See, look what happened to him. So it's sponsored by the Weinberg Family, nishmas, mother Rebbetzin Chaya Fayga Mirel, R Yechiel Ephraim Fishel, and also refuah shleimah for Reb Moshe, and by Mr. and Mrs. Chaim, Tzeh, and Pessy Lebovits. As a thank you to the Ribbono Shel Oylum right away. He says, I'm in. So, Reb Avruhom, thank you for coming on, kicking off the 8th year, right? What is it? What they call it? Shmini? What does it say about the 8th? It's called Shmini. It's Chaburah. So,
we'll discuss.
Okay.
In the old days, in the time of the glory of the convention of Agudas Israel, Moshe Sherer was the boss. And Moshe Sherer used to give an idea to the guest speaker, what not to talk. What not to talk. In our particular case, we have a Kiva Walter. And the only thing he told me about parsha Mishpatim is the Tzeh Kodesh. The Tzeh Kodesh starts, Eila Mishpatim asher tosim lifnei ilim Sidurin de Gilgulim. This parsha is Seder from Gilgulim. And the Mezritche Magid came to Baal Shem HaKodesh and asked him, what's the connection of Gilgulim to this parsha? And the Baal Shem told him, I will explain to you only after you agree to do something that I'm sending you to do. Go to this particular forest. In this particular space, you'll find there a little river. And next to the river, there are some beautiful trees. And stand there for a few hours till 6 o'clock in the afternoon. And then after, came over and tell me what you saw. He went there and he found a horse rider that came after a very, very long way. And he lay down to rest for a few minutes and drank a little bit from the river. And not realizing losing his wallet with all his money, taking off, and without being seen. A few minutes later, another person came, also a horse rider, tired, lying down, having a little bit of drink from the river, and finding the big treasure of the wallet of the previous horse rider. Took the money, left the place, never to be seen again. After a few minutes, shows out another person, a poor person with nothing, homeless, lying down to have a little bit of rest. And the rest is being disturbed by the first horse rider coming looking for his wallet. And he's asking this poor man, where is my wallet? I lost my wallet. Where is my wallet? You took my wallet. I told him, I don't know what you're talking about. Never saw a wallet. Nothing. I don't know what you're talking about. He didn't trust him, and he gave him some good beating, and he left. The time came, the Mezritche Magid, the Mezritche Magid goes back to the Baal Shem and tell him what he saw. The Baal Shem told him, you should know that in the previous Gilgul, the person that lost the money took money because of a wrong psak bezin from the person that found the money. The Rov, that was the Dayan, didn't put his extended effort to find the truth of this judgment. The Rov,
said previous
in previous Gilgul, the Rov was this poor person that got the bidding. He was the Rov. The person that found the money is the person that the Dayan were mechayiv wrongly. The person that lost the money is the person that got the money unjustifiably. And Hashem brought them back to this matzav to give everybody what he deserves.
Does this mean that if something...
It means like that if you go to a best...
Does this mean that if I get punished now, today, it could be something that if it's a great-great-grandfather did? Meaning I'm being punished now because of something my grandfather did?
Might get story, so relax.
So let me tell you something about it. Hashem needs to have a dasket. A din is a din emes, if it's a din Torah. If a dayan made a mistake, and because of his justice, you felt that unjustifiably, and you know the truth, he was taking money unjustifiably for you, don't worry about it. Hashem is the dayan of emes. And if he took from you that, he has many, many ways to give it to you back. Because the din has to be a din emes. And if you know for sure, you know that to be. And you know that the best made the mistake, there is the dayan emes. Hashem nitzah v'daskel, you will get it back. And that's what the Tzeh tells us. Don't think for a second that if you will find a situation that here was injustice done, don't worry. Justice will be done. If it wasn't done yet, just will be done. Because a din Torah is a din emes.
Yeah, but you'll have to wait for a new Gilgul. You'll have to wait for a new Gilgul.
Listen, what should I tell you? The only answer I could tell you is that we are now in a post and we are only here to serve Hashem. And if Hashem told us to go to a bezin, the dana pidin Torah, we have to accept what the outcome is. And we don't know. Maybe we are the second Gilgul giving it back. This could be as well.
We're also going to be benefiting.
You always look that you are the one that loses. Yeah. Maybe you are the one that has to pay back what you had in the previous Gilgul. You're not always the underdog. Sometimes you're on the top. אלא המשפטים שתוספים לפניהם, Reb Rabbinim from Shishcha says, לפניהם comes to be merames of Klal Yisrael. זה במעמד הר-סיני, זה מקדים נעשה לנשמה. לפניהם is to the people that accepted the Naaseh before the nishma. What's the connection of Naaseh v'nishma to Eila Mishpatim? To understand that, we have to ask obvious questions that it's about this parsha. Is Hashem is putting in front of us a shulchan aruch, as Rashi brings, how to behave in justice. So the first thing that Hashem gives us, kitikna eved ivri. What's the chance a person is going to have an ivri? How common is it? And is it for how many generations it exists? It's that what you started Parshat Mishpatim with kitikna eved ivri, which is a very rare situation. What's the importance kitikna eved ivri? And again, another question, kitikna eved ivri? Kitikna one, the Torah says, ki mocher lecho achichi me'achicho. Somebody was sold from your brothers. He became an Eved Ivri. But over here the Torah says, ki take the Eved Ivri is Eved before you even bought it. How could he become an Eved? Naaseh says
selling himself as the Eved at that point.
No,
when he's in the market.
He's selling himself to an Eved. Yeah, but it's become Eved. You're not buying Eved Ivri.
Yeah, but
you're buying it Ivri to become Eved.
He said, I want to be an Eved.
Yeah, he's going to be Eved, but he's not Eved yet. Now the Naaseh says that what's the reason Sheshanim Yavod b'Shvis Yetzel HaChovshi? What is the Sheshanim? What is the Shvis? Shesh is the symbol of the 6 corners of the world. Mizrach, Maariv, Tzov, and Dor, Lamala, Velamato. That's the world, the Ulmad. In the Ulmad is Shaykh Avdus. Avdus is in the chitzonis, in the Ulmad behavior of a Jew. A Jew is a Jew by genetically. He's a Jew. In every Jew, there is the Jewish point that within every Jew. That's the seventh. The number seventh is the Shabbos LaHashem. Nothing to do with Leita'asu Kol Meloche. We are Kulu Kodesh LaHashem. So Sheishonim Ta'avoid, in the number six, yes, you could be an Eved, not to Hashem. But when it comes to Shabbos to Bashviz, there is no Avdus Bashviz. There's only one Avdus to Hashem is Borach. And that's the reason Hashem said, Bashviz v'chol shi'ez. Famous question of the Rishonim, Ani Hashem Elokecha asher hotzisecha me'eretz Mitzrayim. Famous question is, Ani Hashem Elokecha asher barasi shamayim va'aretz, should have said. Hashem Elokecha is the godless of Hashem that created the world. Why do you come to Yitzias Mitzrayim? And the Kuzri answered that. And he said, Ani Hashem Elokecha is asher hotzisecha me'eretz Mitzrayim. Ani Hashem of the world, asher barasi shamayim va'aretz. Barasi shamayim va'aretz is for everybody. The creation of the world is for everybody. Yetzias Mitzrayim was only for the Jewish nation. We are under slavery by another nation, and we got out of this slavery by what? By giving up all of ourselves to Hashem. We know, we learn the Gemara, Ekdesh, Chometz, Veshichu, Motzi B'dei Shibud. If you are making yourself Ekdesh, if you decided that you are saying Naaseh v'nishma, you are taking your own self and you put it under the burden of Hashem, you put it under the oil of Hashem Yisborach, so you are not anymore Meshua about to anything but to Hashem. Ani Hashem Elokecha. So you have to remember, Asher Tzeh Me'eretz Mitzrayim. The God is not because I created Shemayim V'Arot. I created Shemayim V'Arot. It goes to every nation in the world. Asher Tzeh Me'eretz Mitzrayim, by the fact that you accepted to be under my leadership, so you became my nation, then you went out of a shibud of any other nation and you got the freedom of the world to be under Hashem Elokecha. How is it? By saying Naaseh v'nishma. An Eved doesn't listen and doesn't have to understand what his master is telling him to do. Why? Because he's an Eved. So his whole self is under the leadership of his master. So he doesn't really care what the reason behind any tzivah. If a person goes and he steals, what does he show by his stealing? He is very scared that anybody should catch him. But doesn't he realize he's Hashem that sees everything that he does? So by the fact that he's going to steal from somebody else, what does he show? That he is missing the Ani Hashem Elokecha. Why he is missing the kingdom of Hashem, the oil of Hashem? Because he said all of a sudden, there is no master of the world, because he is hiding from somebody. How could you hide? So you are not believing in the first dibrois. Who is the Eved? The Eved is somebody that's strong and in the money to pay back is Gleiber. Another Eved. Who else is Eved? Somebody has decided to sell himself to Eved because he wanted to come to a specific comfort. How is it Shishoma? How is it Shishoma Bar Sinai? Livna Yisrael Avodim. All of the Kono Eved La'atzmoi. He is missing something in his basic of emunah in Hashem, but the fact is going to be Eved of somebody else. Because if you are completely a Naaseh v'nishma, kind of a slave to Hashem, you can't have an acceptor from any other outfits. How do you come to it? You come to it because you are missing in Ani Hashem Elokecha, asher hotzisecha me'eretz Mitzrayim. You come to it because you have it before. It's not kisik Eved Ivri. By the time you buy this person, he became already Eved Ivri. He lost already his 100% shibud to Hashem. And that's the reason you start parsha Mishpatim with it. Because the yesod of Dimnei Momenes is Ani Hashem Elokecha, is the yesod v'aser sadibrois. Everything comes from Ani Hashem Elokecha, asher hotzisecha me'eretz Mitzrayim. The problem lies that you lost your subjection to Hashem, and that's what brought you to disobey. The whole thing started with Chet HaEgel. Till Chet HaEgel, we are under this impression of Kabbalah's Torah and our shibud, the complete shibud that we had to Hashem, because till Naaseh HaEgel, we are b'chinas Naaseh v'nishma. We lost the Naaseh. We started to maybe believe in Hashem because we know that Moshe Shlovoy, and we started to say maybe the way to worship Hashem is other kind of ways through the Egel. So it didn't become to go after Avodah Zorah. They had all kind of explanation to that. Why? Because they missed the slavery to Hashem. They started thinking the Naaseh, the nishmas didn't play a role anymore the same way as it played a role in before.
Which part was defective? The Naaseh part or the
Naaseh.
nishmas?
Moshe is bad at the Naaseh because the nishmas they still believe to Hashem in the world. But the Naaseh is but part of the abdus is to Naaseh also. The Naaseh was it. How do we fix the Naaseh? How do we fix the Naaseh? So we know what happened. What happened? What was the tikkun to Chet HaEgel? The tikkun Chet HaEgel was the Binyan HaMishkan. How did you do the Binyan HaMishkan? By calling out to bring the shekalim. What did Hashem tell Moshe Rabbeinu? Moshe Rabbeinu was be'etzem the source that brought the problem of the Egel. Ki boishesh lovoi. Grade, boishesh lovoi is boishesh BoShesh. In the Shesh K'tzavos, the head, within the Shesh K'tzavos, within the Mizrach Maariv Tzof and Dor and Malav Mato, in the Shesh they had the problem. Because the Sheva, the seventh with the Jewish point, that stays forever. And that's given the power to come back. That's given the power to come back. Who brought them back? The same Moshe. It says, the Medrash Tanchuma says, that the Medrash Tanchuma says,
Why did Moshe Rabbeinu delay? He was having a coffee. I mean, Hashem hadn't kept him there.
Yeah,
So it was HaKadosh Baruch Hu's fault.
so you're asking now a question about Parshas Kisiso, that why the whole Egel happened? Why did I still let the Egel happen? Because it was a reason. So the Baal Tshuva, this you have million kind of way to explain it. This is a certificate cash. This is Rosh Israel. Omo Moshe Ifnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Ribbono Shel Oylum. כשאני מת, אין אני נזכר. After my death, who will remember me? אומר לקדוש ברוך הוא חייכו, כשם שאתה עומד עכשיו, ונויסו לפרשת שקולים, from the old things, Moshe Rabbeinu gave the old Torah. What is David to tell him? How we are going to be remembered after your death? כשם שאתה נויסו לפרשת שקולים, ואתה זויקף ראשו, זקיפוס ראש. What does mean זקיפוס ראש? כך בכל שונה ושונה שקוראים לפניך, אויסו לפניך, כאילו אתה עומד, ואויסו שוב וזויקף ראשו. שנאמר, כיסיסו ראש, כיסיסו, you will be noised the ראש בני ישראל. Forever. This week, we are going to learn Parsha Shekalim, and Moshe Rabbeinu is Zikif our head. So the tikkun of Chet HaEgel was the Shekalim. There is an interesting, very similar Gemara by Avruhom Avinu. The Gemara in the Gilgulim says that Avruhom Avinu asked Hashem, "V'amei Eido ki Yiroshenu." So the Abishter told him, "What's your worry?" He said, "Very good. Klal will be good. They will listen to you." So this is very Israel. What happened if they'll do a chet? So Hashem told him, "Don't worry about it. So you'll do a chet. They will have a Beit Hamikdash. You'll bring a korban. Then it's kapel." So Avruhom Avinu said, what will he do after Beit Hamikdash will be chorev? He knew the Beit Hamikdash is going to be chorev. He says, "Don't worry about it. שבשור שמזכירים סדר קורבנות לפניי, ועושה פרשת הקורבנות, so יש תוך האוילת, so יש תוך המלכה, כאילו הקריבו לפניי, ושמים לשווה את הקהל. It's interesting that this is another memory. What's the difference between the memory of Shekalim, what's the difference in the memory of Avruhom Avinu? And we are saying that Hashem Zikif our Rosh with Shekalim. What's the two difference? זה מחלוקת in the Gemara, מחלוקת Gemara Menoches, that who had the chiyuv to bring Shekalim? Ben Buchi Omer, ban the over al Pikudai. Whoever was counted in Klal Yisrael. Who wasn't counted in Klal Yisrael? Reb Akiva wasn't counted. Shevet Levi wasn't counted in Klal Yisrael. They have no chiyuv to bring shekalim. Klal Yisrael, they was counted. They have a chiyuv to bring. We understand right away why. Bnei Levi said Mila Hashem Elai. They always belong to Hashem. They didn't need a tikkun of shekalim. They belong to Hashem all the time. Klal Yisrael was counted. They needed the shekalim.
The Erev Rav was counted?
What?
The Erev Rav.
I don't know. You got me off guard. I don't know if they were there. Okay. So they didn't. Shevet Levi. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai called the over b'mayim. Whoever was over Yam Suf, Klal Yisrael, all Klal Yisrael. if you look at the point of the shekalim, if you learn this week parsha shekalim, what was the point of the shekalim? To count Klal Yisrael. But there's another reason behind the shekalim. What was the reason behind the shekalim? Two kinds of counts. The Makti shekel was done for count of Klal Yisrael, was given to the Adonim, which the poles of the Mishkan was standing on top of it, and the other counting was, the other shekalim was for the korbanos tzibur. The part of korbanos tzibur is every chatoim that going through the days that every person does. This is no different between Levim and Koyanim and Israelim. Everybody needs it. That's the Avruhom Waisbrod that bizman she'em choitim lefonai yaviu lefonai korban ani eslach. That's no different. That's not the point of parsha shekalim that we are reading. The parsha shekalim we are reading is the counting of Klal Yisrael, which the Levim are not part of it. This is the counting of the money that comes to the Adonim. What's it Adonim? Why is it called Adonim? Meloshem Odoim. But the fact that we gave our money to Beis Hamikdash to build the Mishkan, we put ourselves as Adonim. What is Adonim? We put Hashem to be our Odoim again. And we are underneath sports. We are carrying the all of Hashem. We got back to our original matzev of the matzev of Naaseh and nishmas, that we are willing to take back our ischayvus, the Maimad Sinai, to go back under Hashem. So every year when we are reading the parsha of shekalim, Hashem says, you, by the fact you are mitzavdem on shekalim, you will know Yisrael. A person that is sinning and lost his avdus to Hashem, he is a person who cannot pick up his head. He is the lower of the lowest of people. He is under avdus by somebody else. He is not anymore Eved Hashem. He is not the symbol of cherus of being Eved Hashem. Mimele, he is not, cannot be Zoikev Roishon. But in the minute we bring the shekalim brought the Adonim brought the Mishkan, and the Mishkan brought us into the matzav of far before the Chet. So that's the reason we could now bring back our head. We know the Letav Evakish Nifrod. We just learned it today by the Fayomi. But the Letav Evakish Nifrod, you have always actus between people only when everybody has the same purpose. The only times you don't have actus if everybody purpose will be contradicting the other person's purpose. Then that's machloikis. If you have your reasons and yes, his reason cannot be. Klal Yisrael, when they start dealing the Egel, they lost this actus. Everybody is his own reason why he wanted the Egel. Everybody wants his son. They lost this actus. The difference between counting and not counting is that counting take away of machnus, because till now we are 100, now 1, 2, 3. Counting is the antithesis of achnus. That's the reason it's not counted, because when you count it, you lost the generality of blessing. You lost it. So that's really count. If the counting is going to bring up a samikdosh, is going to bring something that we are all doing together to be under the malchus of Hashem, that's brought us to the matzav of lifnei to myself, that's the biggest kind of shivut Hashem. That was the power of shekalim. So Semes says that I would think that in today's time, maybe we don't have what shekalim could do to us. Why? Because we can't give shekalim. Said the Semes, said the passion and the ishtok that we have today to be mekayim the mitzvah of shekalim is much greater than the mitzvah of shekalim was on in those days. Why? Because in those days you had a ishtok to bring a shekalim, and you brought a shekalim. So you brought with a shekalim some animals that you brought as a korban, moyer dikazach. Today you can't do it. So what do? You give your heart, you give your ishtakus, you give your wish, you give your passion to Hashem, the desire to bring this calling. So you don't have this symbolic thing that could substitute it. It's pure. You give yourself to Hashem because of you want to bring this calling. You can't bring this calling. The Nisan Golim, Nisan Asidin Goel. The way to prepare for the Geulah and to be zeicher to the Geulah is to be desired and to wait, to be mekayem the mitzvah shekalim, because you can't do it the end. So you do it only with refuah by coming closer to Hashem.
Shkoyach, Avram, thank you.
The shkalim that were brought, where, that every year they started again, that were used to buy the karbanos, Levium also tossed in there.
In Korban Tzibur, yeah.
Yeah,
They're doing that alone once, we can't
Right,
close.
but the
But
yearly-
every year, this for everybody.
everybody came.
So the Moshe places. What? Yeah. Yeah, because that's what Hashem for the Adonai. That's what it says. That's what Hashem Adonai for the chet of chet ha'egel. The Levim was part of it. מה שהלווים הביא, היה שני סוגים מה שהשתמשו במקדש. קורבנות ציבור שמביאים כל שנה, הם היו כן חלק מזה. זה כבר מנוחת, right? The master said we are saying now the Kisisus Rosh Israel is the counting. No,
Then it was read on.
I know, but the symbolic shaboy is for the Adonai. I understand that you have to do every year. That's what you are doing.
You said when you're counting, it's the antithesis of unity.
Yeah.
Because you're going 1, 2,
That's
so
right.
1 is different than 2.
That's right.
How does that then provide unity? You said when you
Because it depends on the cause of counting. You are doing the counting to be able to bring a machzah shekel. So the counting is bringing you together in such a case.
not separating.
Yeah. Usually it's separated, but this is you all counting to find the house to put them back together into one unity, in one purpose. To come to one purpose, to one Tzeh.
Good.
See what I left out.
Let me hear the outtakes.
Avram Shkoyach, I don't understand why every single day, I say to the B'Shefer, changed your name to Avram to Avruhom. And I asked you this, and you told me, yeah, we have to say Avruhom. And here I see here Reb Avruhom, and I hear people call you Reb Avruhom. So
And
what's
you
going
know,
on?
ask my wife, I tell her every time, she always, and I tell them, I don't like it, they should say Avruhom. I told her.
Okay, I'll change right now.
So tell her we know that she doesn't have a shach. She doesn't say Avruhom.
No, she said because the Avruhom sounds too complicated.
All right. I don't know how that goes.
All right.